All right. The Saints played last night. It was Thursday Night Football. I know you guys expect us to talk sports occasionally, and we're definitely going to do that right here. There's a lot of things that came out of that game. There's a lot of different topics we can dive into, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. The one that I want to dive into first is the one that's been a hot topic all over social media. It's one that we've kind of talked about in our little Discord. Derek Carr blowing up, I guess you would say it, yelling a little bit. I want to get your thoughts because I have some thoughts, and I'll follow up though. You go first.
A little bit.
Yeah,
he's yelling a little bit. Listen, man. How do we go about this? At first, I didn't have a problem with it when it happened the first time. But now the one with Olave got me. I'm like we used to see Brady do that all the time. Drew to a lesser extent, Peyton to a lesser extent, Manning. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They weren't as hot-headed as Brady, but they would get on guys, right? Now there's a difference to getting on somebody to try to raise them up and just getting on them to get on them. And that's what Derek Carr is doing to me.
In your opinion?
In my opinion, yeah.
That's fair.
It doesn't feel like when he's doing it, it's any kind of productive at all. And then also, to stick with the Brady, Breeze, and Manning thing, they're accomplished. Players respect them. Mm-hmm. So when they do it, if Breeze did that to Olave, he could be like, all right, this is Drew Brees. Mm-hmm. Derek Carr ain't done nothing. You ain't won a damn thing, buddy.
Yeah. Right?
I'm tired of him. Like, he's not playing well enough to be throwing people under the bus like that on TV. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't be out here throwing fits when you got a whole list of problems yourself. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, yeah, this guy may be doing something wrong. Like, I think it's pretty clear that Olave is doing something. He ain't, or, not right, whatever, however you want to say it. But you can't be doing that. And then you got the nerve to not just get up there and accept it and say you're wrong. Like, he got up there and was like, I gotta wind that back. But he gets up there and he's like, I wasn't yelling at Chris. Motherfucker, I saw you.
Yeah.
Who you yelling at? The other sideline? Because we all saw who you were yelling at.
Yeah.
And then Chris gets up there, to his credit, and is like, I'll take the blame for it. It's on me.
Yeah.
That guy's in year 2. Derek Carr's 30-something years old. Which one of them's being more mature here, right?
Yeah, it's fair. Okay. I've got thoughts. I wanted to let you get your piece in. First and foremost, I don't care, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care. I don't care if he's being mature. I don't care how it comes across. I don't care if he's earned the right to do that. None of that matters, in my opinion. None of that matters. What matters is playing cohesive football. And if you're not running your goddamn routes, you're not going to win games. I don't care who was right in that situation. I don't care. Like, let me take you into the mind of a quarterback real quick. When you're going through your reads, right, you're expecting your receivers to do certain things. And if they're not doing those things, other people aren't going to be open. Whether that play was going to be for Olave or not, if he's not going to run his route, then that out route is not going to be open. Other routes may not be open. If you're running mesh concept or you're running other things and you can't rely on that guy to be where he's supposed to be, everything gets cluttered up. Everything. So as a quarterback, and I'm not, listen, I don't want to come across as like I'm defending Derek Carr, because that's definitely how this is going to sound, and I realize that. He's done a lot wrong, okay? He's been very inaccurate. He's, a lot of the decisions he made are questionable. But in that situation, I look at it as the culmination of he's frustrated overall with everything. It's not just that he's frustrated with Olave. He's frustrated with Pete. He's frustrated that he just can't seem to figure out what the hell's going on. Like, he's just overall frustrated. The offense looks terrible. He knows that. He's a competitor. He wants to win. And I don't fault him for that. I want that.
Fair. But he ain't the only competitor on the team.
No, but he's the one that has the ball in his hands every play, and everything goes through him. And whether we want to admit it or not, everything falls on him if they fail. Everything.
Now you say you just want to win games,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I would argue what he's doing is counterproductive. Overall, like, I don't care that he's.
Is it because you're worried about the mindset of the other guys?
That's what I mean.
So I have another opinion on that. And I get it. Like, I know that like people think differently than I do. If you're a competitor and you can't handle somebody yelling at you because you're not doing your job, maybe you shouldn't have that job. And I know I'm taking that off the deep end, and I don't mean that's not a shot at Olave, okay? Because I know Olave can handle it.
See, I'm looking at it more as I'm not even like just focusing on the Olave one now, because that one's a little bit specific. He's yelling at one person for not doing his job. He's done it a bunch of times, man.
He has.
And it just goes back to, like, you can do that, but like, you're not in, like, I don't know how I want to say it. Like, he's just not in the position to be criticizing other people for not doing his job, because there's scenarios where everybody's doing their job and he's not.
He can't necessarily get in the position to earn that respect if guys aren't going to do what they're expected, though. Like, it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. You know what I mean? Like, you have to just that's why it kind of falls back on Pete and DA, because they have to step in and take control. This can't be always a player-led thing where it's Kamara speaking up, whether it's, Michael Thomas speaking up and being like, oh, we're going to figure it out. It's not the coaches. Well, you know what? It falls back on the coaches. If communication is breaking down somewhere along the lines, and this is where we start guessing at things, right? Because we really don't know what's happening with communication.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that it's communication issues everywhere.
100%. The hot call where Kamara just doesn't see.
He came out and said he was wrong.
And there's blitzes that aren't picked up, or they were. Now it seemed a lot better last game, which also, not to go off on another tangent, I know going into the game, Kirk Herbstreit, or whoever, I think it's Kirk Herbstreit, had read that the offensive line was piecemealed together. So he just kept driving home the fact that the offensive line looked bad. They did not look bad at all. They looked good.
I didn't hear any of that being.
Yeah, you were there.
The game.
You were there.
I read that people were saying that they were really speaking bad about the offense.
Yeah, they didn't look bad at all. Like, was he having to get the ball out a little quick sometimes? Yeah, but honestly,
they didn't look bad for what they were.
No,
for having a guy.
They look better than.
Granted, he's a first round pick, Cam Irving.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, Pete. I feel like Pete should be able to do that job of left tackle good enough.
Yeah.
But for what they were, they held up really well. Now the running game wasn't great, but it hasn't. That hasn't been great all year.
That's fair.
Pass protection was fine. Had more than enough time. He got. They got to him a couple times, but they got Josh Allen. Like, that dude's going to get through anybody.
Right.
I think the way I want to put this is, I'm with you that I don't necessarily care that he's doing that. I think it's the part that it's always on camera, that everybody can see it.
Yeah.
Because this team has a list of problems right now. You don't need to be adding to that.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to get at. It's not necessarily like, oh, I'm worried about him messing up the mindset of Olave. Like, he's a grown man.
Right.
Like, I want him to go back at Derek Carr, even if he was wrong.
That's fine. Yeah. To be clear here, I'm okay with that too. Yeah. It can go the other way.
Listen, I'm fine with the T.O. Donovan McNabb situation on the side. Right?
As long, look, if you can do it publicly, I don't care. I know that people have opinions on that. It is what it is. In the moment, in the heat of the moment, every football player will tell you, you're going to get like that. Like, it is what it is. You get mad at each other, but you're a family. You're going to talk. I guarantee they talked about it after the game, or they talked about it 5 minutes later. They're fine. I guarantee it. I think it's okay to do that. Maybe they're not fine. I don't know.
I don't know if those two specifically. Something's up with them. Something's up with them, whether it's on him or something's up with it. Like, I'm getting to the point with Olave where I'm like,
well, so
dude, like you and listen, I understand you can't. You pointed this out last week, and everybody keeps saying he has a right to be doing that because his quarterback sucks. His offense sucks.
You never have a right to do that.
You don't have a right to be quitting on routes. Because like you said, and like everybody has pointed out since then, it wasn't even for him.
Right.
Like, go.
Right.
So that your team can get open.
Right.
And listen, I'm not a fan of Brandon Cooks ever since he did what he did. But Brandon Cooks didn't even do that.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks at least played the game.
He balled out, and then he left.
And he said,
that was it. He got traded.
He just said something afterwards.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is fine.
Right.
I'm okay with that, too.
I don't want to get off topic, but he did it in a win, which I didn't like.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
Like a blowout win.
I remember that.
Like
He was talking about
Yeah.
knocking the ball after we won by a lot. And I was like, all right, man.
But no, like, you just gotta. You can't. Like, you can't defend what Chris Olave is doing. And, you know, we gave him a couple weeks where we were like, all right, it was maybe one play here or there. This is 3 or 4 weeks in a row now.
Yeah. I think what's happening is that it's a couple plays a game, and those plays are getting magnified. He's not doing this every play.
But a couple plays a game is too many.
It is too many. You're right.
Especially in that one. That was a fourth down play. Or
I don't remember.
It was a third or fourth because they came off the field afterwards. So it's a third or fourth down play.
Yeah, it was a third down. It was 3rd and 5. I remember I watched some film breakdown.
And his job is to clear out a 10-yard route.
Right.
That was going to be open. You
Yeah.
could see it if you by now we've seen all 22 shots.
When I saw it live, I initially thought before I saw the 22, I initially thought he had a step and Carr was thinking, oh, the corner's opening his hips. I'm just going to launch it, and I have faith that Olave is going to beat him to the ball. Then I saw the breakdown, and I was like, oh, okay, like he was never going to be open, but this other guy was going to be open. So I was like, it is what it is. The like dissecting the decision making on Carr's part, I'm not going to say that was even the right read. It is what it is. But what I am going to say is
it didn't even feel like a read. It almost felt like he just threw it out of frustration.
Yeah.
Almost like
no, that's what happened. Now I'm not a professional quarterback, but I've been there where I started telling my guys because they weren't running my routes. I was like, listen, I'm just going to throw the ball where I want it, and if you're not there, it is what it is.
It almost like he did it to make it seem like Olave wasn't where he's supposed to be.
Yeah,
which is another problem. Like you can't do that either.
You're right. That's immature. I'll be honest. I was 20 when I was doing that. Okay, like
listen, it's just there's so many like you can bash Olave. He's wrong. He's doing that, but again, Derek Carr is just as bad right now. Like he deserves so much blame for things. He can't read an offense in the red zone. And I don't know. They're throwing fade routes to Olave on 4th and goal. Like, what are we doing? Is that it? There's other reads.
Yeah, I'm actually.
He's going straight to that.
I'm kind of questioning. Just after the last few games, I'm questioning his progressions. I think what he's doing, to be completely honest, is he's locking in on one read, and that's what he's going to.
I'll tell you, being there, it gave me a whole different view.
Yeah.
That like immediately from the beginning of the game, I was like, this is different than a couple weeks ago. I think a couple weeks ago, play calling was an issue, but that was not the biggest issue this game.
No,
there's a couple times, right? But specifically in the red zone, he's got guys coming open, right away, and he's focused over here.
So I've got thoughts, and I'll put a bow on this, and you can finish with thoughts too if you want. I think what's happening, and I'm totally guessing at this. That 2-minute drill was amazing. Okay, he looked phenomenal. I think somewhere along the way, when the play is coming in, there's some type of disconnect, right? I don't know because I know Taysom's calling a lot of the plays in the huddle when Taysom's in the game because they want to make it look like, oh, is Taysom at quarterback? He's not a quarterback. They're trying to confuse the defense. I don't know if that's causing a breakdown with Carr somewhere. Somewhere along the way, there is a breakdown, and he is questioning everything he does. You can see it. He is not throwing with anticipation. He's locking on the guys. Like last game, there was 4 or 5 plays where he just threw it late. He had the guy who threw it late. Hold on. There was one play that I think led to the Olave not running his route thing. Olave's wide open on a post pattern. Doesn't even look at him. He's the read on the play. If you look at the play, he doesn't even look at him.
He don't look at the middle of the field.
No.
The middle of the field was open all the time. All the time. And he's so focused on the sidelines. Like I don't know. No, all I was gonna say was, is this something like I didn't watch a lot of Derek Carr. I watched the Raiders when the Raiders came on.
Right.
Is this something he's always done? Maybe. Like I don't know. Like I know he's known for having red zone struggles, but like I always felt like he was at least decent.
I felt he was decent too, to be completely honest with you. I would take last year's Derek Carr, and last year's Derek Carr, from what I remember, was not good.
No, last year's Derek Carr just force-fed Devontae Adams.
Fine. Force-feed Michael Thomas.
That's the other thing, man. And you've pointed it out multiple times. Like, can we not get him to run a slant?
I don't know what's happening.
That's not even happening. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure Nick will put out some kind of study soon with how many slants he's run compared to the past. Like, all the people are saying Mike ain't what he used to be. That man looks fine.
He's not in position to be what he used to be.
He may not be as fast as he was, which he never was a blazer, but he's winning.
Yeah.
He's not winning jump balls in the end zone that are getting thrown at the shoulder pads of the defender in front of him.
Yeah, that was a terrible throw.
Yeah. And like even the one the touchdown was the throw was okay, but Michael Thomas saved it.
He made it. Yeah. Yeah,
It's just like I don't know, man. There's so much blame. Like there's some guys that are like Mike looks good. No, it seems like him and Derek Carr have had times where they've had issues. That's the times where I'm like, what is the communication issue here? Like Olave's a second year guy. He should know what to do, but you can kind of understand it if there's something.
It's something with Carr. I'm telling you, there is a communication breakdown. Carr and his receivers and his offense are not on the same page. I tweeted it at the beginning of the game. Carr does not have command of the offense. He doesn't, they're not speaking the same language.
I want to see Jameis with the offense.
I don't.
Because he's been in the system, 3 years now? I just want to see if it runs a little smoother. Because...
no Jameis Winston-led offense has ever run smooth. It's always been shot play. What is he doing? Shot play. What is he doing?
That might be smoother than
it's a roller coaster ride, man. And listen, it gets you points,
I don't know, man.
It's wild.
I just this ain't working.
It ain't working.
And every time I say it's time for Jameis, I always preface it with I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference because I don't. There's so many other issues with the team. And it's not Jameis. Even if Jameis is a better quarterback, he's not this much better. You know what I mean? Even if Jameis is better, the difference in Jameis and Derek Carr is not as great as some people would make it seem.
I agree.
Right,
right now, yeah, I totally agree.
Right.
It's hard to argue.
Yeah. So
I want to say I said it on Twitter. I'm going to say it on the podcast. I'm just going to put it out on the airwaves. Right. The Saints have not proven that they should not start Taysom Hill at quarterback. And we are on year 3 of this right now.
I saw somebody tweet out last night. It was a poll. Will Jay Kaner get a start before the end of the season?
No.
You don't think so?
You're going to have some injuries. So I don't know. Yeah. You're going to have some injuries.
Does Derek Carr start the entire season?
I think so, unless he gets hurt. I don't think they pull him. Unless it's what saved him, if he would have just rode off into the sunset last night without that 2-minute drive, the questions already start. The fact that he looked good in the 2-minute drive, now it's like, oh, okay, well, did we have something? How do we get that? How do we tap into that?
Yeah. I think Dennis Allen is going to ride with these dudes to a fault.
Yeah, we've talked about that too. People compare him and Peyton a lot. Listen, I want to get off the Peyton thing. I don't care anymore. This is Dennis Allen's team, and we need to focus on it that way. I get there's connections there, whatever. People compare them, and they're like, well, Peyton had the top offense, and we gave him a pass when his defenses were shit. But what Peyton did is he made choices quickly. He fired defensive coordinators that didn't perform, and he moved on. If you're going to ride a guy that's not performing, that's on you, man. You got to take that hit now.
I wonder if Dennis Allen has if they've given him the authority that Peyton had.
That's also fair.
I would assume because it kind of maybe not last year. I don't think he did. I would think this year they because he went and got his people this year.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking he would have the authority to do it, but because it's Pete and because he's been around so long, I don't know that Mickey would just be like, yeah, do what you want to do it with him.
You know what though? I feel like at this point it's kind of obvious. If Dennis Allen walks in Mickey's office tomorrow and he's like, hey man, they probably already had the conversation. Let's be real.
Well, you don't even have to fire him yet.
No, that's what I'm saying. They've probably already had the conversation about what do we do? If we take this step, then what?
Yeah. You don't even the first step is just letting somebody else call plays. And like you mentioned last week, just move Pete into a different role.
Curry was the one that made the halftime speech. And then if you look at the sidelines, every time the offensive players are talking, it's Curry, Thomas, Carr, and Kamara.
Yeah. And we don't know how good he is at anything. But give him a chance.
Yeah.